Yes, good morning all. Good afternoon for some of you. Thank you for having me. The goal I set to myself was to use not much slides, but trying to show you things and make you enthusiastic to investigate this further and work together on this. My name is Maurits Dijkens. I'm a solution consultant in the Netherlands for mobile and IoT. And Intelligent Bots Cloud Service is part of the mobile proposition. That's why it's also under my attention. If we look at the proposition for chatbots, what we've seen and what you've probably also noticed with yourself or with others around you is that there are only a limited amount of apps on most users' phones. And from this limited amount of apps, there are only a few that are frequently used. And this makes it harder for companies to get their app on the phone of their user and to stay on that phone. And I think that is maybe one of the best propositions of chatbots, because chatbots use the regular messaging apps of the users. So if a user has WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or Kik or any other messaging app, they are more than happy to use that channel and to use that interface to communicate with your organization. The second part that the chatbot adds here is that the chatbot is a virtual intelligent chatbot that communicates with the user on its own until maybe there's some time that a human has to step in to deal with very specific questions. Messaging apps, perfect channel. I think almost anyone on their mobile has a messaging app, and it is used a lot and for everything. And it would be a great channel also to communicate with your customers or with your employees. So what can a chatbot do? Well, a chatbot can help in all kinds of situations, and what we see now in the starting of this, I mean, the chatbot area is maybe a new area for about a year and a half, and in most cases, it starts with the not too difficult requests that are frequently demanded by your customers or your users. So they might check their balance on their bank account. They want to take a day off or tell the company that they are sick. They maybe want to order small things, and from there it can grow, and the chatbot can take over a lot of the work and a lot of the standard things that call centers and other channels have to work on. As I said, I wanted to keep the PowerPoint part short and just show you things. And I think it's also important that you know where you can find these chatbots yourself. We have by now a lot of demos and samples, etc. And it is very, very easy to show them and to use them on your own phone. So what you see on this slide, if you go to bit.ly Oracle Bots, and you need to be on VPN for that, you find all kinds of examples. The public ones, they can be found and used by anyone. For the private ones, you have to send a Facebook friend request to the person who owns it, and then he can add you, and you can use the chatbot in the same way as the public ones. If we look at the chatbot, you are currently looking at my phone. So what I have here is Facebook Messenger. And if you want to demonstrate a chatbot, you have to know the name. And in this case, I will choose the Mega Pizza chatbot. There it is. And you can do this yourself. This is a public chatbot sample that we created. So anyone that has Facebook Messenger or Kik can use this chatbot. So you can easily find this. So what do we see here? We are talking now not to a human, but to an automated computerized system. And in this situation, in this case, it is a structured bot, as we call it. And that means that you are not chatting and talking a lot of natural language, but you are guided through the process of all the actions and activities that this chatbot provides. So in this case, I can order pizzas. So I say, well, let's order a pizza. And the UI of most chatbot clients is basically HTML oriented. So anything you can do in HTML, you can also do in the chatbot interface. So I select the pizza. I take a medium one, a thin one, and we want to have it within 30 minutes. So we'll still have it in the session. And I can also send my location. Well, I'm currently in Amsterdam, so I'll send my location. And now it shows me the nearest pizza shop where I can pick it up. And the nearest for this demo, because it was made by our Spanish colleagues, is somewhere in Spain. So I'll tell them that I'll be there in 30 minutes from Amsterdam. So it's calculating the route now, and it says, well, sure, go ahead. This is the way you have to travel. And I wonder if I can make it in 30 minutes, but okay, this is just what the chatbot provides. So this is a very simple example of using a chatbot. And any one of you can find this and do this. If we go back to the presentation, we mainly see two types of chatbots, and they can be mixed and combined and used together, but we have the task-oriented ones, the declarative ones, and that a good example of that is the one that I just showed you here. And it means that it is structured, it has several actions that it can provide, and it guides you through it with menus and choices, etc. On the right-hand side, we see a conversational kind of chatbot, and that means that you can just ask anything, and maybe the chatbot understands and will guide you on the way and guide you to the right information. And I also wanted to show you an example of that, but for that I'll switch to the chatbot environment on our cloud. And here I created another simple pizza demo. I love pizza, so we'll stay in the same domain. And here I have created a very simple demo of a conversational chatbot. And this chatbot supports roughly 3 actions. You can order pizzas, you can do something with drinks, and you can cancel a pizza order. And here on the right side, you can test it and see exactly the same as an end user would see in his messaging client. So I could say, for example, I'm thirsty. Hold on, thirsty. And then it says, well, probably you want something to drink. Would you like something to drink? I say, well, I'd like a beer, please. And then it says, sorry, no alcohol during work. Anything else? Well, coffee perhaps. Coffee is out the hallway, around the corner on the left. How about a juicy pizza? Okay. And this is just a very simple example of a conversational bot where you can ask questions and it responds to it and might ask you for more information or specific choices. And from there on, it found one of the activities that this chatbot supports, in this case, ordering a pizza. And now it continues with the structured part, where it tries to figure out what information it needs from the user to support that activity. So it might need my age, it might need other information, it comes up with menus and choices, etc., etc. And the way this is configured in the chatbot environment, let's say we want the cheese one. And then it says, okay, it's on its way. This is a much more simple demo as the previous one we saw, so I stopped here. But what we can see here is that this pizza supports several intents, as we call it, which are basic activities that this chatbot can provide. And if we look at drinks, the way it recognizes that we want to do something with drinks is we can specify a lot of sample queries. And it is not only limited to the samples that we provided, there's also natural language processing and intelligence behind this to detect if we type something, what are the chances that we want to order a drink or we want to have a pizza. And we can also see that here on the right. If I go to the intent part and I say I'm 30, I'm making a spelling mistake here, but still it's 94% convenience that we want to have drinks and only 40% that we want to order a pizza. Yeah. Said I have a sore throat with a typo in it, and still it's quite confident that I want to have a drink. But if I'm say hungry I am, well, then it's a bit more likely that I want to order a pizza than I want to cancel a pizza, and it's not likely that I want to have drinks. So in this way we can learn the chatbot what kind of words, what kind of constructions, what kind of verbs are related to that intent. If we look at ordering a pizza, I also typed some parts here. For multi-language, there is absolutely no reason why you can't specify multiple language here. I'm not very good in French, but I've tried to type a French example here, and you can do all kinds of things here. From that intent, if the chatbot figured out what the intent was, and I can specify what the minimum required percentage or likelihood is, then you switch over to the activities, and it says, well, if you want to order a pizza, we need to know the pizza type, the crust, the size, the cheese type, and we can specify all the values here or get them from a backend system. Because a very important part of the chatbot is the connectivity and the integration with your backend. So in this case, I have a custom pizza API created, and that connects in my simple sample to a database, but it could also connect to ERP Cloud and use the APIs there to retrieve the data. And what also happens in the chatbot here is that if a certain backend API requires 6 parameters, these parameters are used then in the entity type here and are automatically taken into account in the chatbot. So if I want to call a backend service, it says, okay, I need to have your age, and I need to know the size, and I need to know the crust type, etc. So this is not all programmed and configured in the chatbot to come up with these questions, but it is configured in the chatbot that for the order pizza intent, it needs to call a backend, and that backend requires 5 parameters. And I have specified how to retrieve the values of these parameters. And also that could be automated, could come from a backend or an authentication, an identity. But it could also be that a piece of UI is defined to say, well, if you can't find it and you can't find it in the backend, then come up with a UI piece. And then it comes up with a selection list or a graph or whatever. So this is basically how the chatbot system works. If you want to play with this, if you want to experiment, or you want to have a specialized demo for your customers with integration to ERP Cloud or other systems, these are the kind of things that we happily provide and that we want to work with you. But beside of that, you can use your own Facebook Messenger and find the chatbot samples that we have and use them. So this is another sample that we have, and we can say, well, I want to view the transactions, and I want to have it from this account. And these are public demos, so all of you can find these. There's one small remark, especially in Europe, I think WhatsApp is the mostly used chat client, but WhatsApp still has not opened up for chatbots. So we are in discussion with them, but until now, they don't provide a chatbot API, so it is not possible to use WhatsApp at the moment. So that's why you mostly see Facebook Messenger and also other chat clients. We go back to the presentation. We've seen the two types of chatbots that can exist or be combined. If we look at the Oracle Intelligent Chatbot Service, it mainly contains 4 parts. We can use existing channels like Facebook or Siri or Amazon Alexa, and there are lots of different channels for chat. And you can also provide your own custom channel. You could put it in a web application or in your website. You could put it in a native app that your customers already have on their phone. You have the dialogue flow and execution. That is in the part I just showed, how it figures out what you want, how it figures out what data it needs. There's an SDK to define the APIs to your backend and to connect to backend systems. That can be a direct connection, but you can also do it via the integration cloud service of Oracle or Process Cloud or any other integration component. And the last part is the AI engine, and that is the part that is learning the sentences and finding a correlation between the kind of words, the kind of sentences, and decides on what is the probability that you want a certain intent. The AI part also contains the natural language processing engine, and the natural language processing engine is aware of nouns, verbs, knows what the subject of a sentence is and what is important and what's not important. And it also knows certain terminology. If I say I want to have the pizza the second Tuesday of May, it knows what the second Tuesday of May is. Or you want to have it after Christmas, it knows when it's Christmas. So it is on dates, it is on numbers, it is on financial constructs, etc. That's all in the natural language process engine. Currently, we provide that for English, and after the summer, we will also provide that for Spanish, French, Dutch, and all the other languages. So that is basically what we provide with our chatbot platform. We have a very strong platform if you compare it to customers. What we notice now in these early stages is that the main point of interest for customers for our chatbot solution is that it is very easy and very quick to start up something. So if a customer says, well, we'd like to try a chatbot and add a few features to our call center, whatever, you can be up and running with your first bot within 1 or 2 weeks. And with most of the competition, it only takes 1 or 2 weeks to configure it so that you can start creating something. Well, that was very quick, very briefly, more or less my introduction to the subject. My main wish for this is to that you are enthusiastic about chatbots now, that you will try using your own, finding the samples, show them to customers and colleagues. And if you want to go a step further and make a demo or do a presentation for a customer, don't hesitate to contact me or Martijn de Grunt, who is also in this call this morning. Martijn de Grunt is the BDM for mobile and chatbots in Europe, and he can certainly help you on also.